Okay, so this is going to start with quick unboxing of the kit I used to make this mask. This is the kit from Monstermakers.com. It's the basic kit. Comes with this big head, which is going to be your armature that you're going to build, you're going to sculpt on top of. Comes with some liquid latex, some latex paint, some hair, some random tools and accessories, some brushes. A few instructions, some burlap, more brushes, some sculpting tools, and here's the main thing is this monster clay. Which I've never used monster clay before. I've really never used any even oil-based clay except for once in my life. Oh, and it comes with this airbrush kit, which I'm not going to use because I don't have an air compressor. Here's the whole kit. The whole kit was about $300 or so. There was a 10% off coupon at the time, or a promo code. This is the kit that does not come with the water-based clay and the plaster. I got those separately. So my first impressions of this clay were, well, like I said, I've never used oil-based clay except for once. I've mostly just used terracotta. And this stuff is rock hard whenever you first open it up. You gotta put it in the microwave, get it warmed up, and then it'll get softer. I wouldn't say I'm really experienced with sculpting. I've definitely never made a mask before. I'm definitely more of a drawer than a sculptor, but I do like sculpting a lot. The longer I used this clay, the more I started to like it. It's got like a waxy consistency to it, and it's so clean. It doesn't stick to anything. It doesn't stick to your tools. It doesn't. Pretty much just sticks to itself, and in this case, the armature, which I'm sure they probably put a texture on it to help it stick to it better. Honestly, I don't think I'd want to sculpt with anything else ever again. I liked it that much. So I'm just blocking out the basic shapes here. Not really worrying about the details yet. I'm using these two pictures as a reference. I'm not really marrying myself to them though. I think usually when this mask thing is portrayed, it's done by different artists and they always put their own spin on it, so I don't think I need to be accurate. These are more of just a guide, which is part of why I chose to do a corpse husband mask. It's recognizable enough that if I, go out to a bar or something, somebody there will recognize it. Be like, oh my gosh. But not famous enough that there's, some mass-produced commercial version of it that you could just buy. So with this, I have something pretty unique. There's a few out there, a few other people that sell it, like on Etsy, but nothing mass-produced. So the reason he looks like he has a big bulging eye right now is because the way I was taught to do eyeballs is to think about the actual ball shape that sits inside the skull and make that. So make a ball that sits in the eye socket and then put eyelids over top of it. I don't know if that's the best way, but that's the way I do it. Made a paper mache corpse husband mask last year. I think I still have the video of that. never edited it together and never uploaded it, so let me know in the comments if you want to see that. Yeah, I wore that out at Halloween and got a lot of great reactions from people. I would say like 60% of people thought it was Donnie Darko, the rabbit from Donnie Darko. But the people that knew what it was were pretty excited to see it. Here I am adding that eyelid. It's one of my favorite parts to do. I don't know why. Just like suddenly becomes so much more lifelike. There's something really cathartic about sculpting that you don't get from drawing, where you watch something take a physical shape in front of you. So now we have most of the basic shape made out, and it's becoming very obvious to me that I did not stick to the reference very much. Mine is looking much more demonic. It's become sort of a evil demon creature. But I like it. I'm down with it. But we can just roll with that. The tools that came with this kit were really great. Pretty much everything you would need. There was only one thing I wish it had, or it was... I've seen tools that have like a small ball at the end. I found like a crochet thing that had a little ball at the end that I ended up using. Pretty much everything else, though, they had covered. And you really need it too, because you can't, unlike water-based clay, you can't, spray it with water and then rub a sponge over it to smooth things out. So here I am trying to use fire to smooth it out. It works, kind of. It also leaves some black charring around it. A butane lighter would probably have been better. But it worked well enough. Yeah, I take that back. It didn't really work that well. I ended up trying a few different solvents that I had laying around to rub it down with. Gamsol, whatever it's called, ended up being what I used the most. Now I am editing out bits of footage here, so here you can see it's been smoothed out pretty well already. So at this point it was basically done, but then I decided I didn't like the teeth being all the same length and thickness. It kind of made it a little bit too jack-o'-lantern-like, and the nose hole was a little bit too reminiscent of a skull. So I decided to extend the bridge of the nose out, which it looked goofy at first, but I have a plan here. I'm going to build the whole thing out and then cut it at an angle. Which should also give me more room for my actual nose inside the mask. And then add some teeth of varying lengths. So it's not quite so... looks like pig here. So it's not quite so... I don't know, jack-o'-lantern-like is what it made me think of. here we go, getting that nose shape that I wanted. I think this is a different day now. I think I sculpted this over 3 days, I think. Probably put a total of maybe 10 hours into it. Really fixing up that eyelid really well. Using the back of a paintbrush to kind of blend things together. Using that little nub at the end. And then just adding and subtracting clay. And smoothing it out again. Now we're adding some eyebrow furrowing to give it some expression. Adding bits of clay to represent the muscle under the skin. Little crinkles and folds of skin at the brow. Which really made it a lot more expressive. We are almost done now. All that's left is a few more detail and the smoothing. I'm really quite pleased with the result. So these are the things that did not come with the kit. They optionally can come with the kit, but I found if you get them on Amazon, you save quite a lot on shipping. It's hydrocal and water-based clay. And here I am fondling the water-based clay because I like the way it feels. It's more familiar to me. Yes, so nice. All right, here's the finished product, all smoothed out, looking like it's made out of chocolate. On the water-based clay, I'm going to take to build a little retainer wall around the entire thing. And this is going to be to hold the plaster so it doesn't just run down. I'm not sure I did this in the best possible way. There's quite a few undercuts other issues. You're supposed to have it at perfect 90-degree angles apparently, but I didn't do that. Now, mixing the hydrocal plaster. Full disclosure, I had to do this twice. I had done projects in the past using plaster of Paris, and so I just started mixing the plaster with water in the same way you would mix plaster of Paris. And it started hardening immediately, way before I was ready. So I slapped it on top of the sculpture, and I know it didn't get into the cracks and capture the details of it. Also, the mixture wasn't right, so I didn't, it never really hardened. It kind of stayed soft and wet. So this is the correct way to do it this second time. I put it on the sculpture, and I had to wait for it to harden up as much as it would, and then chisel it off, which damaged the sculpture, and I had to partially rebuild it. So this is attempt number 2. And this time I mixed it correctly. So it starts off as a liquid. You pour it on there. I used a paintbrush to paint it on there. And as it starts to harden, you can build it up thicker. I also took strips of burlap and dipped it in the plaster and put that on there too, just to give it more strength, to decrease the chance of it breaking whenever I try to release the clay from the mold. I lost a whole day's worth of progress having to redo some of that whenever I mixed the plaster wrong the first time. Smooth it out a little. Leave it to dry. And here's the next day. Start by stripping off the water-based clay. And now try to remove the plaster. I was super nervous about this part, because if it doesn't come out, if it breaks, if anything bad happens at all, the whole thing is basically gonna have to start over again. Just pulling it off slowly, and it comes off. And I'm very excited. And there's the inside of our mold. So after I clean the clay out, begin filling it with latex. Started off brushing it on. And then as I filled it up, I kind of pick it up and roll it around in there, making sure to agitate it and tap on it to try to release the air bubbles. And then put it in front of a fan to dry. Then you go in the next day and peel it off. And there's our mask. I'll have to take a pair of scissors to clean up the edges. Again, I'm very excited here. The next thing you should do is act like a dork for a little bit. This is required. It's in the instructions that you should do this. Probably could have edited some of this out. Anyway, on to painting. So finally something that doesn't stress me out so bad. But mistakes were made here as well. This latex paint dries extremely fast. So as I was brushing it on, it was balling up. The little latex would turn into little balls as I was brushing it, which ended up just giving it a texture which worked, so I guess it was fine. And it turns out that this paint is also pretty translucent, so once you go dark, you can't bring it any lighter. So here I am, like, trying to lighten it up, and it's not really doing anything. It'll start off lighter, and then once it dries, it'll just go back to darker again. Now here I mix together some brown and do a wash on it. This is to give it a grungier look. I'm gonna completely cover it with this, give it a minute, and then wipe it off again. And there's the result. There's what the mask finally looks like in the end. Though I do like how it came out. The paint did things I didn't expect. The teeth are a little grungy and brown that I didn't want. So I did cast a second one, and this time mixed the paint with water to give me a little more time to be more intentional with what I did. Adding water, however, had the effect of making the paint even more translucent. So I had to do several layers. Both of these masks will be for sale, and I will put the link to buy them in the video description. Once I figure out how I'm going to do it. Definitely getting a lot more pink this time. But that's intentional right now because I know once I do the brown wash, it's going to get a lot darker. And it also gets a lot darker when it dries. Here's the wash. And the last thing to do was to attach an elastic strap. So use some contact cement, cut it to about the right length, and then put something heavy on it to apply pressure. And then after that dries, do it to the other side. And so here's the final thing. I might add some rivets to the strap to make it a little stronger. But otherwise, I think it came out alright. It's very hard to see through just one eye. And here's the second one, which I haven't finished attaching the strap yet to. So leave a comment, tell me which one you think you like more. Like and subscribe, all that stuff that everybody has to say at the end of every video. And if you enjoyed this, yeah, do all those things I just said. And if you didn't, let me know why. Bye.